Hello there. So I'm surrounded by lots and lots of lovely plants. These are 3 radishes which I allowed to flower because they're so lovely. Tomatoes in flower, beans, strawberries next to the camera. It's just so lovely to be in here. And I want to talk to you about back pain. For goodness sakes, what a really mundane thing to be talking about, back pain. And I'm aware of just how mundane it is, and I mean that word very advisedly, because reading a book by Dr John Sarno, and he's been involved as a healthcare practitioner, as a doctor, since the 1960s. So he has an extraordinary number of decades of experience with this subject, and it's so much more important than I realised. I've had my little stories with my back myself, and just a few days ago it happened. I just literally was just pulling up a chair and it went, and I knew immediately it had nothing to do with pulling up a chair. It was to do with what was going on underneath. And what's been happening for me is that all the stuff that's been going on underneath in my life is becoming closer and closer and closer to the surface, and starting to breach that barrier between unconscious and conscious. And this has just catalyzed a whole cascade of realizations. So I'm going to give you the information in the description, and if you have ever had back pain, or have ever known anyone who's had back pain, or knee pain, or various other pains which seem to be definitely organic origin, it's definitely a physical thing, definitely to do with something to do with the body, so everyone's been taught to believe. Crock of shit. Oh, it feels so good to say that. And I knew when my back went a few days ago that this was just so much more than what met the eye. Classic example of shamanism. Nothing is as it seems. So it seems like there's something wrong with my back because my back has gone, and yet there's nothing wrong with my back at all. I can't even walk properly at the moment. I'm in agony when I'm standing up trying to slice vegetables. It's that bad. But actually what's really going on is all the emotions that I have repressed have reached the point in my healing journey where they demand to come to service and be looked at. And there's a really curious and paradoxical thing about the nature of the mind. The mind does everything it can do to ensure continued functionality, and it's like, I'm beyond all that now. I've been taken into the realms of dysfunctionality, and it's such a gift. I'm so grateful, and I'm very grateful to the person that possibly didn't send me some negative energy, and that has actually been the catalyst for what's going on. So this is what I understand. The people have all sorts of treatments, including drugs and surgery, for bad backs, and it's all totally missing the point. And we live in a society in the West. If you live in the West, then you live in a society like me, where repression is the name of the game, and the mind actually colludes and conspires in this, and yet there is this part of us that just wants it all to come out. And one of the things we notice when I listen to people talking about Chinese people, and when I watch Koreans and Chinese on TV shows, there's a great deal of expression of feelings going on. And it's totally normal apparently in China for people to go outside and start shouting and yelling out of frustration and anger about whatever might be their life situation, whatever's going on for them. That's normal. Now in the part of the world where I live, that is so abnormal, that would be almost like tantamount a dangerous thing to do. And I do remember a friend of mine a long time ago who really needed to let stuff out, and interestingly enough, she lived just a few miles away in Glastonbury, and she just went and found some woods, and she started yelling and shrieking and letting all this repressed emotion out, and guess what happened? Next thing you know, tapped on the shoulder by some policemen. Excuse me, what are you doing? Not supposed to be doing things like that. Letting repressed emotions out. There's a whole conspiracy. I love to use that word, it's so advised, particularly in this case. There's a whole conspiracy that everyone is supposed to keep their repressed feelings bottled up. And what they're supposed to do instead, they're supposed to take drugs, street drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, drug themselves up, and they're supposed to watch lots and lots of Netflix. Now, I'm fascinated by Netflix because at the moment, number 1 and number 2 in the UK today tell you such a big story. Number 1 is called Sweet Tooth. Number 2 is called Awake. They have one thing in common. They're dystopian sci-fi shows where it's all gone to shit. And it's like, that's just so vastly amusing because, of course, what is going on is it's all gone to shit, hasn't it? Yeah, it's all gone to shit. Exactly. Lockdown after lockdown after lockdown after do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. And we've reached a point now where there are so many people that are frustrated and angry. And you've got people that are frustrated and angry because everyone should do exactly as they're told. That's like the mainstream. You've got all the people that are frustrated and angry because people are doing as they're told, and that's called the alternative. And what's come really clear to me is actually these are both manipulations, and the real truth of the matter is to actually get in touch with what's going on for you. And that's what the back's done for me. It's meant that just about to launch myself into doing all sorts of things, doing trainings, doing retreats, doing introductory evenings. No, none of it's happening because literally the rug's been pulled from underneath me and I'm not capable of doing any of those things, which means I'm facing all the feelings of frustration, anger, disappointment, rage, fear, you name it. It's all coming up. And, well, I'm just spoilt for choices about where to begin, really. Obviously, and I say obviously, but it needs to be said, supporting my mother through her death and dying experience, which took 18 months, wow, that in itself is enough to produce so much repressed emotions. It's amazing I've been able to function at all. And when I went to see a healer just a week ago today in Glastonbury, she made the point, it's really simple. I'm suffering from a really deep fatigue. I'm tired. I'm not physically tired. I'm not mentally tired. I'm emotionally tired because of the emotional roller coaster my entire life has been. Starting from childhood and all the abuse, going through to marrying someone with cancer and all that entails, and a 25-year journey and her demise and her death, and watching my children suffering from all the repressed emotions that creates, and being blind to the repressed emotions I was suffering from myself for that 25-year period. And it goes on and on and on. And watching my partner go through all she's been through with her father, and then all the bollocks hit smack, and it's like, yeah, ongoing genocide, right? And everyone's walking around like, well, let's just be obedient, or let's be really rebellious. But what's going underneath it all? So if you've got back pain, if you're watching a lot of Netflix, if you're taking a lot of pharmaceutical drugs from the doctors, or street drugs, or you're doing a lot of whatever, or you're going out and getting drunk and fighting, whatever thing you might be doing, well, no wonder, bearing in mind what's going on and what you've dealt with in your life, what you've been repressing. And so this is the real breakthrough story about the back, because I realise that when I stand up after I've made this film and I start walking looking like a cripple, which is what I am at the moment, that's all my repressed emotions coming to the surface, demanding to be released. And I've got this book by John Sarno. Read the description. If you're suffering from back pain, if you know someone you love is suffering from back pain or knee pain or other pains which are either really acute and just lay you flat, or chronic, whichever the case may be, the guy's got it sorted. He really lays bare the human condition. And it's a bit of a scary journey. And yet, with what's going on at the moment, this is our opportunity. We're literally living in the world of the walking wounded at the moment. Most people are managing to function. I'm suddenly taken out of the picture. But it's great, because this is what it takes for us to have the breakthrough into what is to come. And that's something I'm going to make another film about, because it's always darkest before the dawn. When it seems like it's all completely gone to shit and we're all fucked, that's when we really start to make some progress, because finally we're starting to get real. So thank you very much. I haven't been able to make a film for a considerable period of time. Problems with the broadband service, which are now resolved. It doesn't take half a day or 3/4 of a day to upload a 10-minute film anymore. Hey, that's a victory, that's a result. And yeah, I'll have more to say in the future. Great love to you on your journey. And if your feelings are starting to come up, feel them. And see what you can do by reading John Sarno's book to transform your existence, and to realise that we're on the threshold of some extraordinary times. And so just before I go, I'm just going to pick this up and show you. There's some beautiful nasturtiums there. The beans, the tomatoes, the blueberries. There are the blueberries, look at them. Even beginning to turn a bit blue. There's the peas on the pod over there. The peas at the back of the polytunnel are actually so prolific they're starting to fall over. I've got to put some more support on them. And look at these gorgeous poppies. They're just about, the flowers are going to be opening within days. A really major success story for me is this lemon tree, which had totally given up the ghost, and it was just like a skeleton with twigs on it. And in the last couple of days my back has turned, and bang, just look at this lot, full of leaf. An absolute forest of radishes there, which are going to need to be thinned, and I'll use the thinnings in my food. And over here we've just got a riot. We've got the spinach, the chard, the courgettes. Now these are yellow courgettes, so it's just fun to get in there. You can see the flower, you can see the fruit. Look at that, just look at that. It's only a couple of days I've not been able to come in here because of my back, and it's all gone absolutely ballistic. So please like, comment, subscribe, activate notifications if you'd like to contribute something to the work that I do. I'd be massively grateful to you. And the PayPal email is going to be in the description. And it's 13 minutes and 37 seconds. That'll do. All the love to you.